Hey guys, it's Mr. Mini Painter, and today we are going to be painting Fili. Fili is one of the Dwarves of Thorin's Company from the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth strategy battle game installment. I'm painting all of the Dwarves, and Fili is one of the many in that collection. As you can see here, I primed the model black and added some modeling sand to the base. I usually try and do that before painting because you don't mess up your end result by adding glue and sand. So as a first stage, we're going to be painting the face with some Bugman's Glow as a primary color. It's the face and the hands, basically all of the skin parts. With these dwarfs there is not much skin showing, so yeah, it's just the face and some fingers. Most of the dwarves are wearing gloves, so you just see the tips of the fingers. It's the same with Fili. Once this is done, I am highlighting the face with Kislev Flesh. And what I do here is first add some very bright lines defining the highlight areas. So you focus on the nose, the cheekbones, the eyebrows, the forehead, the knuckles of the fingers themselves maybe. And secondly, I thin down my paint, my Kislev Flesh, and apply the area surrounding this with a kind of a wash of Kislev Flesh. So that way the colors blend together quite nicely. I then wash the face with a thinned down version of Wayland Flesh Shade. You can thin that down with water or some Lamia Medium if you want. And just make sure that when you're applying this, you don't get any blotches, so no puddles of shading. Then it's time for the eyes. Palette Witch Flesh, and I try to add some horizontal lines in the areas where the eye should be. I usually manage. And I then dot in a pupil with some Abaddon Black. It's very, very tiny, but the effect, the result is very well worth it. Then Rhinox Hide for all of the hair. Which we're then going to be highlighting with some Mournfang Brown. What I did here is just try and touch the raised areas, so there are some braids in his hair, there are some strains that are sticking out. Just only touch them and leave those recessed areas nice and dark. If you want, you can shade it afterwards with some Agrex Earth Shade or something like this, but I didn't really do it. Next up, dried bark mixed with some Abaddon Black, which creates a nice dark brown color for the coat. That's basically most of the clothing showing with this dwarf. We're going to be adding some details to make it a little bit more interesting. First up, I'm using some Karak Stone on the fur parts. There is a fur collar and some fur around his wrists, which I'm going to be painting with Karak Stone. And I'm going to be highlighting that with some Palette Witch Flesh. You can see here there's some around his wrist and some on his chest. Just pick out some details here and there. And you're done. Next, we're washing it with some thinned down version of Null Null, just to create a tiny bit of shading in there. Then for the medals, we are going to be using a Leadbelcher. There is a buckle on his chest, of course his weapons, and I decided to paint the scabbard on his back with some metal details. Then back to dried bark to highlight the coat. As you can see here, I left the previous color in the recessed areas, just focus on the raised parts, the parts that would normally catch the most light, and I covered most of the model with this dried bark. Then I'm taking it a step further by adding some Baneblade Brown to the dried bark and focus on smaller areas. So just the very tops of the folds to create some gradient. Make sure to edge highlight some of the clothing. Really defines some shape into it. Then some rock art flash for the ornaments, the details on his coat. Now there's not really much to go around on this coat, so you have to imagine your own details here. And what I decided to do is to add some diagonal lines and some edge highlights to the bands around his coat. So you can see me here first going around it and then adding some diagonal lines, and later on I'm crossing them off so two diagonal lines crossing each other to create a nice pattern, like a stitching around the coat. It's a really nice detail. It's very simple. All you need is a fine detail brush, or at least a very fine tip, and take your time, please, because this is the part that makes your mini interesting. Now I applied a very thin down wash of Agrax Earthshade around the belt, the coat, basically all the previously painted parts of cloth. And that way your colors blend together quite nicely. Next, some dry brushing of Dawnstone on the pants and shoes. I wanted to keep them nice and dark. I wanted to be the coat to have the main focus, and that's already quite dark. The gloves I want to stand out a little bit more, so I'm mixing Doomble Brown and Rhinox Hide to create a reddish brown. And yeah, to at least have some extra colors in this model. And I'm applying the same to the scabbard on the back. Next I'm highlighting the same areas with pure Doomble Brown. Just go over the top of the painted parts, so you have some shades and you have some highlights. Then some Null Null on the pants and shoes or boots, just to create some extra shade there. And I also applied Null Null on all the metal parts. Now his swords, they have a fine line in the middle, and your black, your Null Null will stick nicely to it, so that's great. I used some Hashut copper for the, well, the coppery parts. It's a nice color element. And I'm going to be highlighting that with some Canoptic Alloy. Just focus on the top areas, try and do some edge highlighting if you can. And that's it for the final details of Fili. Just a couple of more dwarves to go in this series. And finally we are adding some sharpness to the blades by using Runefang steel and applying it to the sharp areas of the swords. Now you can do an edge highlight or create some diagonal lines to simulate some sharpness, but this is it. The final result on Fili. One of the dwarves of Thorin's Company. I really enjoyed painting him. There is still a lot to go of them, so keep following my channel and I'll keep making more videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, it was of any use to you. Please leave a comment below if you like this. I really love to hear from you. And I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye!